Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I am sharing part 2 on why I'm waiting episode. This is part of the waiting journey series. I hope you guys enjoy. Keep watching. That our waiting journeys are just about that one thing. It's about the person that we become in the process, and that's the most important thing. So that's one of the things I celebrate. The other thing I celebrate in July, which is part of it, is not just celibacy, but being a single woman. And in July 2018, I just had a breakthrough. I kind of mentioned, like, I would, be single, but then I would get lonely, or I would get tired of being single, and I would kind of go into relationships that weren't good for me, that were codependent, that were toxic. And in 2018, God really spoke to me, and I actually went to an event that really transformed my life. At the time, I was just going through a lot of struggles, like with depression, anxiety. I just needed, I just came to a reckoning. I just needed like a moment of, like, an aha moment, I just came to a realization. I just came to a huge realization that I was not happy, that I was defining myself in what I did and not in who I am, that all the accomplishments, all the degrees, all of that didn't mean anything if I was not in touch with who I am, who God was creating me to be, who God has created me to be. I felt like my smile wasn't even authentic. I just came into this huge pit. I also came to a realization, by the way, at the time that summer, I had gone to two things. I had gone to a training, and I had gone to a love and relationships event. And I had already purchased the tickets. Nobody really could come with me, and I had already purchased them. I said, I'm gonna go. I didn't really want to go. I didn't want to go by myself. But anyway, the training was so transformative. If you guys don't know, I am a trained and licensed therapist, and so the training was for our continuing education requirements for to maintain your license. And I was in they were teaching us therapeutic interventions, and but first we did kind of role plays where we would kind of act like we were the client, like we were the patient. And that really opened this faucet that I couldn't close, like I just wasn't tapping into the grief of my father passing away, how that really affected me. And I realized I wasn't really grieving him. I was avoiding thinking about him. I was avoiding dealing with that. There were other family stuff that just came up that I just hadn't been dealing with. So along with that, again, because I just hadn't dealt with that, even though like the training was very transformative, because I just hadn't dealt with that, and now I was like, there was no way for me to not look at it and deal with the pain. I just fell into some sort of depression about it. It was almost like I was reliving the grief, going back there. And so I got help, I got support. I'm so glad for my aunt. I'm so glad for the people in my life who supported me throughout that process. And in July, I went to an event, and I didn't want to go. And I was so excited about the event. I'm sorry. Oh God, am I not even gonna get through this video without crying? I was so excited about the event. And I told my dog, I don't know how many dog moms do this, but I talked to my dog and I was just telling my dog that something really special was going to happen, that I didn't know what, but I just said, your mom is going to come back like really happy, and I know that she's gonna come back really happy. And honestly, I really didn't believe what I said. I just said it I believe in speaking things into existence. I was like, I don't believe it. I'm gonna be alone in this event. It's the DMV. Parentheses, like, I had like these expectations that in this area, in the DMV area, I was gonna meet tons of people, that I was going to make tons of friends. It's really not that easy to make friends here, especially if you go to networking events. So I just thought, I've lived here for 10 years, so I'm just kind of like, nobody's gonna talk to me there. It's just gonna be an event that I pay for, so I'm gonna go. And I got dressed up, and I actually hadn't worn makeup in like ever, because I was in just this really big depression. I had taken time off work, and so I just, I did my hair, I did my makeup, I wore like a really nice dress, and I would go to the event, and there were mostly women at the event, and women like me who had similar questions. I really got a lot of questions answered about relationships. I wasn't even thinking about dating at the time, but I mean, of course I had questions about relationships. I always do. And so the speaker at the event was just godsend. He just had like an anointing. He just was insightful, like smart. I mean, he's a love and relationships expert, and he really knew his stuff. But more than just knowing, like someone who's been trained in it, he just was authentic. You know what I mean? Like, he was just, it was like his wisdom didn't come from reading a book, like it came from, life, but it's almost like it was divine. It was really beautiful. And I was just completely like, I brought a notebook. He said, bring a notebook, you're gonna need it. I brought the notebook just in case, right? Like, but I wrote down almost everything he said. One of the things that he said that spoke to me, two things, many things, but I'm going to share with you two things that the event that really spoke to me. One of them was, I actually asked this question. I asked him why, especially in I kind of did say, especially in the DMV, some men typically don't approach you. It's mostly like you meet them online, like they don't really approach you, like there's no courtship. And I just didn't understand why that occurred. And he basically said that it was because in order for someone to approach you, you have to be approachable. So your energy has to be positive. And so men typically will sense the energy before they decide to approach you, right? And he was like, sometimes some women will have a look that signals that they don't want to be approached. It does help if you smile, if you have like, if there is a positive energy. And sometimes you might not even realize that you don't have a positive energy, because some of y'all, he said, really serious body language, because that's a reflection that you deep inside are not happy. And that was just like, whoa. I didn't even realize that that was me, you know, like I was not happy. I was not smiling. I just thought that I just don't smile because I'm a serious person, and like I'm not gonna walk around smiling. That's just not me. But it really was a reflection of what was going on internally. And as soon as he basically talked about healing. Healing is important. You need to heal before you decide to be in a committed relationship. And so that's why July is special, because that month I came to just millions of it just aligned with the training I had. It just aligned with everything that was going on in my life. It just aligned with the fact that I hadn't grieved my father. And the other thing he said that was like the number 2 thing that I was going to share with you. He said, some of y'all have daddy issues. Some of y'all may have daddy issues, but you don't know that you have mommy issues too. I was like, ooh, I didn't think that was me, but it was like God was speaking to me. God was speaking to me about all these things that needed to heal. That's why this man that I was waiting for, this marriage that I always dreamed of, because there's different types of women. There's women who don't dream about marriage. There's women who don't want to get married, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? Don't feel shamed or anything. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But I've always been the type of little girl that has dreamt about it, maybe because I saw the marriage between my mom and my dad. My dad was just such a great man. He was so romantic. He was so thoughtful. He was just a lot of amazing things, which I attribute some of my personality traits to him. And basically, like, I always dreamed about that. And I always thought that it would happen at 24, 25, 30. You know what I mean? And it's 2020, right? And it still hasn't happened, but there's a reason why it has not. So I just want you guys to understand that, yes, all those things are beautiful. Yes, we see on Instagram all these wedding pictures, all these engagement pictures, all these couples. We see these movies, you know, but none of that, that's just an image. That's just one part of love. You know what I mean? That's romance. Romance is not true love. True love is kind. True love is patient. True love will stay through sickness and health, will sacrifice. True love is about 2 people coming together because they best align with each other. And I gotta tell you that I know that it will be worth the wait. I am waiting for that, you know? Even though I've made mistakes, even though if I make mistakes in my celibacy journey, by maybe having sex when I have committed myself to be celibate, I will fall, but I will pick myself back up and recommit. You know, like I've written on here, like, recommitting to this journey because it is worth it. And I have learned so much about myself. I have learned so much about what still needs work, what still needs my compassion, my self-compassion, my kindness. I became part of groups. You know, I'm part of a single women's group. Shout out to my friends. I became part of a single women's group. I became part of an anxiety group. I'm in therapy. Although I'm in therapy, I just sought help. I worked on my finances. I got rid of debt. Like, so much happened. Like, I started my YouTube channel, you know, in this. So Devon Franklin and Megan Good share in their book that being celibate, so when you're being celibate, right, not having sex, there's like this energy that you have, right? And it's like, obviously it's very difficult to resist it, but you know, having that energy means that you can use that energy elsewhere. You could use it by becoming innovative, by becoming creative, by working out. I just feel as though that if I would have been in a relationship and not be celibate in that relationship, I would have lost myself. I would have become distracted. God wouldn't have done with me what he intended for his purpose, I wouldn't be able to help others with my story. And so like that's like the second thing that I celebrate. And the third thing that I celebrate in July, my father's birthday is in July 30th. He's a Leo. He was a leader. He was everything that I would want in a father, that I would want in a an example of what a true man and true gentleman is, and what it means for a man to love and not be afraid to show his feelings, not be afraid to be a good father. He breaks the stereotypes of men of color, you know, that men of color, these stereotypes that aren't true, that men of color are not there for their families, that they leave. Well, he never left by choice, right? He passed away, and I know that he never would have left. I mean, he hasn't left. He hasn't left my heart. He hasn't left my mind. So I celebrate him. You know, my mom and my grandma are like, dead people don't have birthdays. Well, duh. It's a symbolic celebration of what would have been his birthday, right? And of how proud he probably would have been of me. And I mean, he won't get to walk me down this aisle with this purpose partner, but his legacy continues in me and in the woman that I'm becoming. So I celebrate him. I celebrate his legacy. At times I've done things with my family to commemorate him. At some years I do something by myself that'll commemorate him. But you know, it's just difficult. You just become, you know, girls and their daddies are something special, you know, and you just become something else without them. You're just not the same without them. But it could really destroy you. And it did, you know. But it also made me better. It made me really appreciate life. It made me more independent and more mature. And he would always tell me that he didn't want me to settle, and that he wanted me to finish school and finish my degrees and reach higher, the highest level of education that I can, because he just didn't want me to be humiliated because I need to depend on a man to provide and all these things. Like, he really wanted me to be a strong and independent woman, and he was very protective of me. So I celebrate everything that he encompassed. And I want to celebrate me. I want to celebrate me this July. I want to celebrate who I've become, not just the check boxes, not just what I've accomplished as far as recognition and things like that, or education-wise, but what I have accomplished internally, the type of woman that I have become internally, the work. It takes work to look at your pain. It takes work to heal it. It takes work to control your urges and say, wait, not right now. It takes work to say no to your flesh, to say no to your impulses. It takes work to share your story. It takes courage. It takes boldness. And so I just want to leave you guys with the message that you are worthy, and if whatever you are waiting for hasn't happened, does not mean that God has forgotten about you, does not mean that it won't happen, does not mean that you are less worthy, that you are less wanted, that you are less accepted. It just means that it's not time. It just means that God is pruning you through this process. It just means that he wants you. He's like our father, right? Like to me, God is my father, right? And it's just like that fatherly love that, our parents always know why they wouldn't give us what we would ask for when we were kids, right? And I think same with our godly father. He knows why he's not giving to us what we really want prematurely. He knows that maybe we won't be mature enough to take care of it. He knows that maybe we won't appreciate it, or he knows that maybe we will worship it and it will become our everything, and we will be way too sucked in or way too pulled into something that's not good for us prematurely. So he wants us to be prepared. He wants to use us, in the moment of singleness, or in the moment of while you're waiting, the moment while you're not, while you may be married but you're waiting to have kids, and whatever it is that you're waiting, he wants us to use that energy for something that special, that he really wants us to work on right now while we're waiting.
I just want people to understand that I'm not shaming people who don't wait, or I'm not shaming people who are having sex outside of marriage. This just has worked for me. And what I want my viewers to gain from this is that celibacy is more, or waiting is more than just not having sex, but it's choosing what I wanted to prioritize, and refraining from sex really helped me to focus on me and work on what needed to be healed internally. As I understood that having sex prematurely became a distraction from me, a distraction from the pain that needed to be addressed. And the woman that I've become in this waiting journey is just someone that I'm just very, very proud of. And so I just want people to take away from this that sometimes waiting is necessary. And I really hope that you enjoyed listening to my story.
And besides those resources, having a deep relationship with God, and I didn't only learn a lot about myself, but I became closer to God. I developed an intimacy with God. I was able to hear him speak to me through like different ways that God speaks, you know? And I also needed something tangible that would help me remember why I shouldn't give up. I created vision boards. I journaled. And I also received a promise ring. I wanted to purchase a ring that would become my promise ring, so it would be something tangible that I would use when I wanted to give up. And God works in marvelous ways, because for my 29th birthday, my mom gave me a ring. She gave me this ring. And I'll show you guys. Yeah, she gave me this ring. And I was like, that's gonna be my promise ring. And how special, you know? How special, because my mom gave it to me. And it almost looks like a wedding ring. So I think I might as well use this ring, as symbolic as it's been. Waiting is not a life sentence, right? Waiting is what gives us credibility in our vulnerability. Waiting is the story that we have to share. And today I just want to model that for you. Some people have given me feedback about how brave I am in sharing my story and starting a YouTube channel and just sharing things that are personal. You might say that women are more likely to do those type of things, write tell-all books or share their stories on social media, you know, but men are capable of that too, you know, being vulnerable and showing that you have, and showing your feelings and your emotions just makes you human, just makes you special and amazing, and gives you a platform to help others too. You don't know who this is going to help, and I really hope that my story brings hope, faith, joy, and love. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you on my next video.